Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. What is cracking? What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today? We're going to be going over all the fights that are taking place tomorrow. 2 fight cards in Vegas. We have Zuffa Boxing, headlined by Kalen Walsh and Carlos Ocampo. And then we have the world title fight the following day. Also in Vegas, I think it's at the Fontainebleau. And you got world champion Raymond Muratalla versus Andy the Diamond Cruz. So we're going to be going over all the fights. We're going to be going over the books today. If you haven't seen my breakdown, prediction, and analysis of Cruz versus Muratalla, it's under my fight prediction playlist. The Stats Don't Lie. Watch it, comment on it, share it, like it. Also, we did our J-Rod versus Sugar Cane Sandoval. That's also on the playlist. Watch those as well. Like it, share it. Guys, if you're not already in our Johnny Says Boxing VIP group, that link is pinned right here. It's a couple bucks a month. Join on YouTube, join on Patreon, and you get access to our professional betting Discord. The Discord, we're at 350 JSB insiders. It's not just boxing. It's a growing community of all pro sports. We just launched tennis this week. We're going to be launching the NRL, which is rugby for you Sydney siders and you Aussies. And then Major League Baseball is coming up in 2 months. So we cover all things boxing on the YouTube channel. But once you get to the Discord, your whole world will be changing because you'll be joined by a group in a community of really like-minded bettors and keen-eyed sportsmen. So join that. I want to show everybody who are in the Discord. Last week, I changed one of our processes where I put all of my bets, where I put my parlays, my props, my dogs, everything I'm betting on. I'm no longer putting in the Discord. I'm putting on our YouTube channel and in our Patreon. So what I'm going to show you is for all of you guys on this chat who are JSB insiders, you guys have the star by your name. Go to this is my YouTube interface. So go to my main page, right? Johnny Says Boxing. We just hit 27.2K subs. Now, for everyone who's been in the Discord since we started in August, you've always found my picks under Johnny's Picks. Moving forward, I'm posting them on our YouTube channel right here. Membership. So you don't even have to go to the Discord now to find my picks. They're all under membership. To become a member, to get all of my picks, click that link in the bio. And for everybody in our Patreon, we started last month, you will be private messaged all of my picks. There's also a section for members only in the Patreon. So since we got that out the way, let's get after it. I'm going to bring up all right, so we're going to look at these odds. I'm going to go through the Zuffa Boxing first. All right, so this is the Zuffa card. I'm going to go over these fights first. So today, you guys could expect I have six parlays that I'm giving all of the insiders, right? I'm giving you guys my Zuffa parlay. This will be up in the Discord, or this will be in the Patreon. This for the insiders. My Zuffa parlay pays plus 556. I have another 90 I'm trying to find a better word for locks, but I do have a 4-legger that I feel maybe a foolproof. Maybe I'll call it a foolproof parlay. It's 4 fights over the weekend. This one pays plus 110. I also have my long parlay, which is the month of January, February, and March. This one pays plus 5,200. Okay, so $100 gets you 5,200. $1,000 gets you 52,000. I'm also posting my long shot parlay for the weekend. It's a 3-legger. It pays plus 7,600. 3-leg long shot parlay. I've been told that some of the boys want me to call this a cycle parlay. So in our Patreon, all the members, you're going to get my cycle parlay. And then I have 2 dogs of the week. You guys should already know my one dog. We actually changed the odds. And then I gave you guys my my method of victory prop. I gave you guys that on Monday. So all in all the JSB insiders, you're getting 6 tickets today. You're getting 6 of my bets. You're getting my cycle parlay, my long parlay. You're getting my Zuffa parlay, 2 dogs of the week, method of victory parlay. And I have a foolproof. I'm going to call it a foolproof rather than a lock. Okay. So I'm going to go over this. And this is for you guys. We're going to talk about Zuffa real quick. I'm not going to take any questions until I get through these fights, okay? I'm going to now go over who I think is going to win with 0 detail. I'm going to say pick this guy, pick this guy, pick this guy, and then I'll do that with the Matchroom card, and then we can take questions, okay? Just so we can keep this thing rolling. Obviously, after I give you these picks, if you want reasoning, you could ask me. Troy Nash versus Ramos. I have Nash winning. Merriweather versus Correa. I have Merriweather winning. Cardenas versus Harris. I have Cardenas winning. Floyd Diaz levels above Gutierrez. I think these odds are actually right. Floyd Diaz wins that. Omar Trinidad, his class. I was actually 50-50. I was more like 70-30. Almost taking max on this. But after looking at the A side, where Omar is in his career, I give the power advantage to Omar, and I think some of the other boxing skills will cancel each other out. I know some people like Max being live here. I could see that, but I'm taking Trinidad. Julian Rodriguez versus Kane Sandoval. I like J-Rod here. Tito Sanchez. I like Tito. And then this is the big one. I'm going Austin Deanda. Now, that's not saying this is a ticket. And then I like Callum Walsh. So I'm just telling you the nine fighters I'm taking are those 9. Now, that doesn't mean this is a ticket. I don't have this as a 1 ticket, just to let you know, because it's not my betting style. But if you were to pick all 9 of these guys and put them on one card, you're at plus 3,200. Let's continue. We're just continuing on who's going to win. And you're getting this now. I'm telling you who I like to win. Capo, Alvarez, Z, Madrimov. Sometimes the A sides just win, guys. Omari, Ko, and Cruz. If you were to tip, now granted, I'm not doing a 16-leg Zuffa and Matchroom combined parlay, but these are the 16 fighters that I think will win in the Zuffa and the Matchroom card. I do think there's going to be I think Austin Deanda at plus 550 is going to win by upset. I think J-Rod, so there's 2 dogs there. Yeah, overall, I think about 80 to 90% of the 80 to 90% of the favorites will win. I think we're going to see, and I'm not a fortune teller. Even if I'm wrong, I do feel we're going to see at least 2 to 3 upsets. I think that's going to be fair, especially on the Zuffa card. I think there are a couple really close fights. And that's all the fights this weekend, and I'll start taking your questions. I know a lot of people are kind of shocked at the Austin Deanda fight, but I'm tailing one of my boys. We got some info on this. I think plus 550, mate. I love this pick. This is my underdog of the week. Plus 550. Look, like I said, I always say this, guys. It's easy to pick 4 110s and give you a parlay at 150 with 50% return and call myself fucking the best in the world. This isn't what we're doing here. We're using our eye. We're using our knowledge of the game. I think Deonda is live, man. His, where he comes from. I like his youthfulness. I like his activity. I like his age. I like his camp. I like all of it. I'm not sold on El Chino. I don't like his inactivity. I don't like his age. I don't like his neither guy. And we could break this down ad nauseum. If you're a dog hunter, if you're one of these sharp bettors, if you're a guy who looks at a fight card and you're like, which underdogs could win or which underdogs are worth risking a unit over, 100% Deonda is worth risking a unit over. 100% J-Rod is worth risking a unit over. Even though I'm taking Omar Trinidad, Max Ornelas is worth risking a unit over at plus 225. I'm just not taking Max. I'm taking Omar based off of what I've seen on the tape. All that aside, we are 12 minutes in this shindig, which we call a live stream. I want to say thank you to the guys tuning in. We're floating between 30 and 50 people in our first 12 minutes. Could you please like this stream, subscribe, join our Discord? The Discord is the community. To get my picks, you have to become a JSB insider, whether on YouTube or Patreon. And those are the pieced together parlays. Shout out to my boy Peanut in the Discord, Randy on Instagram. We're launching our new cycle parlay. So the cycle parlay is a 3-legger that I'm giving all the boys at plus 6,700. Let's go. Money Meech is in this crib. Dude, I hope Derek Lewis wins this weekend. He fights in the UFC. I'm probably going to sprinkle something on him. I hope Derek Lewis wins just so we can see him on the microphone. Texas in this hoe. USA in this hoe. Deonda plus 350 in my bet 3650. Yeah. Dude, I'm sold. Shout out to my boy Tommy Ranone. So if Deonda comes through, I'm not taking the credit. If Austin Deonda comes through like I think he is, give all the flowers to Tommy Ranone. He put me on. If Deonda loses, troll me. I'm going to take the blame for the loss. So however big your unit is, blame me because I'm telling you to take it. But if he wins, don't congratulate me. Congratulate Tommy Ranone. He has a real shot. I think so too, man. This is why we all get along out. This is why Johnny says boxing, our channel is a bit different. You know what I'm saying? The way we run our channel here is a bit different. I run my channel on positivity. You're never going to hear me call a fighter ass cheeks. You're never going to hear me call a fighter a scrub. You're never going to hear me talk negative about a fighter. I'm not going to do any sort of slurs. We run a different little thing around here, and some people don't like it. We don't care if you like it, right? But, we like to find underdogs as well. If we win, we win. If we lose, we take a L, but we do it with grace. That's something that's a lost trait, I feel, is people having a little bit of class, people having a little bit of moxie to how you present yourself. And so, yeah, who doesn't love a good juicy dog? We also love our money line parlays, though. We've hit 25 in a row. So I'm giving you, over the last 2 weeks, we've hit 25 straight money line picks with receipts. Just go and check it on YouTube. And I'm giving you a 6-leg money liner for Zuffa, which will be 30 or 31 when they hit. And then a 4-legger for Matchroom, which would put us at 35 when all 9 hit, all 10 hit. And then I also have a 14-legger for the next quarter. So the 14-legger, I'm actually proud of the 14-legger. So looking at this 14, I'll go over the money line parlay for PJ and some of the boys who aren't in our Discord. Here's the long parlay. I'll get if you take notes, take notes. 14 legs. This is free money. I think it's somewhere around plus. I think it might be plus 5,000. Don't quote me on this. We'll find out in a second. So PJ, this is for you, big dog. This is a long parlay, a money line, 14 legs. I already got action on it. It's plus 5,000. Let's look at it. All right. It's going to be when I do these quarter-long parlays, I like using the A. Like in Australia, they break down the fighters' talent between grade A fights, grade B fights, grade C fights. You can see it right here on the screen. So when I do these quarter-long parlays, which are like main events basically, now you have to wait. You can't have that instant gratification. If you don't have the patience to wait, you're not going to like this. But if you got a couple bucks to sprinkle on something long term, this is for you. So I do have Callum on here. I'm not the biggest fan of Walsh. I'm not like a Walsh fanboy. I don't think he'll be a world champion, but I do have him here. Walsh. Andy. So that's two. So you do have two fights to look forward to that are happening this week. I rate Adam Azim. I do. I think Adam Azim. Now, I think Adam Azim has the goods to fight for world titles. So I'm putting him here. So that's three. I want to see Adam Azim versus Dalton Smith. So I am breaking down this Bakr Murtazalov Josh Kelly fight. It's going to be my underdog of the week. So I'm taking Josh Kelly to beat Bakram, but I'm not putting him on my long parlay because these are just money line sort of favorites. Whenever I have a fight that's at plus 200 or more, I put them on a separate ticket and I go heavy on them just to let you know. Carlos Adames. I think Carlos Adames is easy money against my boy Ammo. That puts us at 1, 2. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. We're building here. Keyshawn versus Jermaine. I got Key. Teo versus Core. I got Shakur. Xander versus Barao. I got Xander. Nick Ball versus Figueroa. Even though I never bet on anybody, Brandon or Omar Figueroa, I'm going to take Nick Ball. Lee Wood, Josh Warrington. It's where it gets interesting. I'm taking Lee Wood. I know Warrington, he asked for this fight. He won his last fight. I don't trust Josh at this stage of his career. Even though Lee Wood is coming off that, he moved up the division, tried to be great against Kakachi. I think Kakachi might be one of the most underrated fighters right now in boxing. I like Lee Wood to handle business. I love British rivalry fights too, mate. I'm a big fan of British boxing. I've always been a fan of British boxing. GAR versus Andy Hiroka. I can't do now when we're talking props are a whole different story. These are just on the money line. Like I'm like when you see these odds, I'm actually comfortable with this 14 legger. And we've hit these, dude. We've hit 14 leg. We've hit 22 leggers before. So this is nothing new to us. I'm just sharing with the boys. We have a couple more fights. I'm gonna take Hitch over Duarte. I enjoy both guys. I really rate Hitchens though. I'm a big fan of guys who do the little things really well. You guys know that the longer you're on my channel. Somebody has a great jab with world-class speed. We're looking at a world champion. Yeah, that's crazy to say. In this version of modern era boxing, I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's a focus thing, but it's very rare when you see guys with world-class jabs and world-class speed together. You don't see it a lot. Barrios versus Garcia. Huh. I'm going to leave this off. I'm going to leave that off for now. Only because I put Ryan Garcia in the category of Omar and Brandon Figueroa. There's always some fuckery that goes on betting on those guys, so I'm going to leave that fight off. For now, it doesn't mean I won't go back to it. I'm not a big fan of Clarissa Shields, and those odds suck. I mean, she's a great boxer, but her odds are all like $1.06. I'm not putting that on there. Sugar Nunez versus Navarrete. Ooh. For all you guys just getting into boxing, put an asterisk by this fight. This is going to be exciting. I'm going to take Sugar. I do it with pause though and hesitation. Navarrete always seems to find himself in these sort of bloodbath barn burners with some sort of controversy. So I'm taking Sugar because I've been with him all the way on the way up. You know, I was featuring Sugar Nunez on those Pro Box cards. I'm pretty sure we on Pro Box cards before he went to Japan. And I still think Liam Wilson beat Navarrete. This is another fun fight, mate. You guys don't know. I love me some British boxing. Jazza, who's coming off a career. Both of these guys are having these sort of like Renaissance Indian summers in their careers. Jazza Dickens, a couple months ago, went to Turkey, a plus 500 dog against Albert Gaziev, and put belt to ass and told everybody that at this stage of the career, I'm still good. And Anthony Kakache, same thing. He chose to take the bag. He chose to give his belt up. That's why Sugar Nunez got it. And he chose to fight Lee Wood. And Kakashi told everybody too, without the belt, he's still good. This fight is a fun-ass fight. I got Kakashi. I'm a big fan of Kakashi. People sleep on him. We're going to do, I think, one or two more. This is our last one. So the last leg takes us to May. Will you guys be able to wait? We'll see. Benny at $1.38 is a goddamn steal, dude. 38% to beat Zerto. Absolute steal. So this is it. 14 legs. There you go. I wasn't that far off. 54.91. So 100 gets you your money back plus 5,391. If you got $1,000 to lay around, 1,000 gets you 53,914. For me, nothing's going to change. These are my picks, my quarterly long parlay. If you want to tail it, you could tail it. I've never told you to listen to me. I'm only telling you what I know. I'm taking that. Also, a good thing about my long parlays, guys, if you do just money line and a fight gets canceled, or at least on my book, and a fight gets voided, your parlay is still live. It only starts to get tricky when you put method of victory on a long parlay. That's when if somebody pulls out, I'm pretty sure the whole ticket gets voided. That's never happened to me. We're going to move on now. We're going to talk about what we have in front of us with our other parlays tomorrow and the next day. I wanted to get that for PJ. I wanted to do that long parlay so some of the boys who aren't in the Discord, who just support me on YouTube, they can't say, you don't give us any picks, boys. I give you everything. Lee Wood. Now we're getting into you're leaning Navarrete. You like Adames by knockout. Look, it's too early for me to start getting into the sort of inner workings of how the fight will end. I usually stick week to week on predicting knockouts and points sort of thing. It's just how I roll. What's up, Meles Constabord? How much Andy Cruz winning by knockout 6-12? Let's see what that pays. Did you just make that prop up, though? I'm coming. So Cruz, I mean, look at this, boys. Cruz by knockout is already a plus 375. Why get greedy with it? You know what I'm saying? So if you like Andy by knockout, I don't. I think Muratalla is going to be skilled enough and seasoned enough for to go the distance. But if you like Andy by knockout, I mean plus 375 is already juicy. Andy Cruz 6-12. So I'm seeing Andy 5-8 at 1050, and then 9-12 and 9. Look, holy shit. Gun to my head, if I had to play a knockout for Cruz, I would go 9-12. Look at those odds. This is just like, if gun to my head, if I had to play knockout, I would say late 9-12. You're dealing with a 29-year-old world champion who's 23-0 with 17 knockouts, who doesn't know how to lose, who's always switched on, who is married to the game and Ray. I'm a fan of Muratalla. I'm a fan of his professionalism. I'm a fan of his journey. I like how he operates. I like Cruz, obviously. I think that Muratalla, because he likes to punch, he leaves openings on his defense. I think it's going to be his leaky defense that is going to undo him. And I think that leaky defense will start with body shots. And if it does play out that way, which I hope it doesn't because I have money on the points decision. So this is actually one of my live bets right here. Not here, my bad. Right here. I gave this to the JSP Insiders early in the week. I got it at 197. But back to the narrative for you, if I were to see Andy sitting on his shots, he's super sharp. Mortai's defense could be a bit leaky, especially when he throws his right hand. He switches stances a lot, which leaves openings, which I don't like about Muratalla. I like Muratalla at orthodox. I like his right hand. I don't like the way he drops his lead hand when he commits to his right hand. And I think when he commits to his right hand, his lack of speed against Andy will be able to time that and work the body, maybe find a liver shot. And if that happens, we know about body punching. Body punching is an accumulative thing that, starts with early investment. If I were to play a stoppage, I would say late. Mike Ross, I'm adding Merriweather, my parlays, books out. Yeah, I talked about that early in the stream. Guys, if you're just joining the stream, I talked about all of the fights already on Zuffa, but Mike, I agree with you. Guys, we're 30 minutes in. We're floating between 30 and 50 on the live, which is awesome. If there's one of you guys who listens to me, I appreciate you. So I've never got into this because of numbers, because I don't give a shit about my subs. I don't give a shit about who watches. I care about boxing, and I care about the education aspect. The whole getting rich thing, I never use. We're all going to die one day. That's just my own personal ethics, how I live as a man. I don't care about objects and stuff like that. I care about helping people, teaching people, educating people. And if I get to do that around boxing, let's go. So that's what we're doing. But Mike, I did talk about Merriweather. I agree with you. And make sure you like this video on the way in. What's up, little showtime? GAR, my 27 man. They do. Well, Hiroka should be respected. He got a good record. He has that Japanese record. You know what I'm saying? He got that nice Japanese record. He got a little swag. I like Andy. Andy's a puncher. He's aggressive. I think he's too brave for his boots. And I think GAR is going to take it home. Mate, I can't say enough good things about the Russell family, a boxing family. Come on, man. Ammo is easy to hit, and Adamas is a power puncher. Ammo is really easy to hit. Let's pull it up. Yo. So he's talking about El Chino versus... He's a big favorite here. Yeah, he's a big favorite here. And look, I talk about it all the time. I don't give a shit if you guys torch me. But one of the things that you should look for in somebody that you listen to about betting is value. Value is the word of 2026 for me. Value in my personal relationships, value with my intimate relationships, value with me as a son, value with me as a friend, as a brother, and value giving to you guys who listen to me. Yeah, I like hitting 25 picks in a row, big favorites, but there are upsets that occur. So if I go after a dog who's plus 550 and I lose, that's on me. I don't care if you guys get like you guys should have the reason. Like, it's the internet. If you guys want to troll me, troll me. That's your choice. I think it says more about you than it says about the person you're trolling. But I think Austin is live here. I think we're going to see 2 or 3 upsets this weekend, Zuffa and Matchroom, based on odds. I love Deonda's odds here, plus 550. Taking El Chino at $1.14. I talked about this ad nauseum, the reasoning why. If you're looking for a value play and you got $100 just lying around, 100 on Austin, man, I'm playing it. That's a play I'm playing. I got him. You guys know that. Let's see what Julius is saying though. He likes him decision and no distance on KJ. All right, let's see what that 2-legger pays. So El Chino on points is $1.67. So you take El Chino on points at $1.67, which the books are saying that should happen. And then we got no distance for Kane and J-Rod, which I do like. Will the fight go the distance? No. And now we're talking at a nice little. I feel like this is a classic Julius Alabama 2-legger. I feel like this is something that you win with all the time. So you got that. That pays plus 275. A little sneaky $100 on that gets your money back plus 275. You can't ask for more. I think there's value in this. Even though we disagree, I think it's a good ticket. I think that it's wise. Logical reasoning on the odds says that El Chino should get you a 167. I do think that J-Rod and Sugar Sandoval, for the sake of this, we're going to keep that. But let's change this. Let's switch out Chino on points and go with my pick. And see what the odds says. So let's come to an agreement on Sugarcane and J-Rod finishing inside the distance, but then switch out your pick for my pick and put Austin on the money line. And now what does that ticket say? Plus 13, over 1,300. So 100 now gets you over 1,000. And that's why we play value. We play numbers. Now, if you're in a hole, what is your bankroll? How are you gambling? Are you an entertainment gambler? Are you gambling to get rich? Are you chasing losses? All of those are up to you. You as the man, right? So me telling somebody who has no money, who owes people money, who isn't happy, who's living in their basement, who's struggling with bills, I tell you to get off of my channel. I tell you to unsubscribe. You can still support me and learn from the sport, but I tell you to delete your betting apps. If you are betting and you don't have a bankroll and you're betting trying to pay rent, not betting to pay rent. Like, some of us win and we use our winnings for our bills. But if you're at a point and you're chasing and you don't have money in your account because you can't pay your bills, then leave. That's not what we're doing here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're doing the right thing. If you're an asshole to the people who care about you because you're a degenerate gambler and you have other addictions, if you find yourself addicted to A, B, and C in gambling, leave. It's not the way to live. It'll make you a bad person. It's a horrible addiction to have. So this is not the channel for you to come to for me to sugarcoat shit to you. We are running a channel based around boxing as the sport. I grew up in a gym. We are then using that to educate and talk about outcomes and where to put your money. There's a big difference. I'm not here for any younger dudes trolling, trying to get rich off of betting. That's not going to happen. Develop your skills, learn a new language, find out what you're good at, follow your passions. But if you think you're going to cut corners on success and cut corners on wealth and happiness by gambling, somebody freaking lied to you. You need more role models. You need better role models. I'm not that guy to sugarcoat to you. Some people don't like that. Hey, I'm a grown-ass man. I can take it. Co versus Hart, no distance. I like it. Let's see what it pays. See, we're on our grown man around here. We're out here. We're not throwing stuff against the wall. I'm not promising you anything. No distance. So you like it. So I like how you're hedging. You didn't say Khalil Co knockout. You said Co Hart no distance. All right, Julius. But look at that. 50-50 either way. My issue is with both guys fading. It's only a 10-rounder. I think sometimes, Hart's never been stopped. Here's my issue, and it's $1.88 either way. To push back on that, Julius, you got to ask yourself, after the first few exchanges, if Jesse Hart is getting touched up a bit, he knows how to survive. This is a real veteran. He's also really tough. So sometimes, a veteran will know, just make it to the final bell. We know about the shit talk. We know that they've been back and forth on social media. The last thing Jesse is going to want to do is go in there and let Khalil Co be the first guy to stop him. I think he could live with a loss. One of my buddies, like Tommy, Tommy, I think he retired with a record of 24-8. But when people talk about Tommy Randone, outside of the circle, the first thing they say about Tommy is Tommy was a tough New Jersey, New Yorker pro who never been stopped. So there is a credibility and a hierarchy of boxing, if you guys weren't aware, and fighters will take that into the ring with them. So you have obviously the greatest of all times, that list. You have Hall of Famers, that list. You have world champions, that list. Then you have multiple division world champions. Then you have guys who, were contenders. And then you start getting into the guys who had a few losses. And then you start getting into gatekeepers, journeymen. One of those things that people talk about that, well, this guy never been stopped. And you retire with that. You're not paying for drinks at the bar. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing. If you grow up around boxing, you grow up around the gyms, you know that. And we get a lot of pro boxers on my channel. We have a lot of coaches. We have a lot of amateurs. Shit. I coach 2 amateur boxers from my channel that met me this way. I do the strength and conditioning. My point is, our community is more of a professional community with that. So you're not going to see a lot of trolling in the comment section about hating on fighters. Real fighters know that it's a real part of the narrative. It's like, this guy's never been stopped. He didn't have a perfect record. I'm talking like around the bar having drinks and shit. He had 40 pro fights, had 8 losses, but, no one stopped him. Jesse Hart knows that. Jesse Hart's 36. He's at that stage of his career. So you got to ask yourself, is Jesse going in there to beat him? Which I think he will initially. And then is Khalil Co good enough to domesticate a guy like Jesse? Because then that's the conversation we have to talk about when we're picking, will the fight end in stoppage or not? And I don't have those answers. I'm picking Khalil Co to win. The reason why it's even money on the points and a stoppage is because of this exact thing. So it's literally a coin flip. Julius, take that pick. If it gets, if you hit, you're a wizard. Like, we already know you're a wizard, though. I'm speaking sort of like facetiously now. But if it doesn't hit, it's, it's a 50-50 coin flip. At least it's a 50-50 coin flip. At least it's not 25-7, 70-30, 75-25. It's literally 188 both sides. Will the fight end? So I think it's a smart bet. I said all of that to say that. Hart was on Team USA in a former world title challenge where he's 36, 80% not. No, yeah, of course. Guys, let me know where you're tapping in from. Let me know if you have any questions about the fights going down tomorrow. Any questions about the fights going down the following day? We got Zuffa boxing. No one's asked about Dana White. That could be a good or a bad thing. No one's asked about the co-main. Oh, we're talking about the co-main now on Matchroom. Anybody take a Muratalla other than Julius? If not, I'll take some of these questions here from Consabor, middle of the fight. I want to know the odds of Xander. Those aren't out yet. So, method of victory odds, props will usually drop fight week, just to let you know. Austin Deanna is a club fighter. Yeah, but I mean, how much rep? So here's my defense on that. Deanna's 22 years old. Call him what you will. He's 17-0. He's been brought up since he was a young kid living in the gym with Scott Sigmund. Sigmund was a solid pro, very good promoter, very good manager. At one time, Sigmund fought Kelly Pavlik. Focus matters at this stage of the game, especially with this level of a fight. Since 2020, El Chino's fought 4 or 5 times. He's 31 years old. From what I've heard, he's a 1 foot in, 1 foot out guy. He has a job. You know what I mean? When you're thinking about dedication, devotion, why is he really fighting? He was a Mexican Olympian, but I mean, how much emphasis, and this is a chat that needs to be spoken about. You have to answer this. I'm not giving you, how much emphasis do you give Dominican Republic Olympians? How much emphasis do you give Mexican Olympians? How much emphasis do you give Cuban Olympians? How much emphasis do you give American Olympians? So on and so forth. So being an Olympian a decade ago when you were 21 years old, being on the Mexico Olympic team, and now you're 31 years old, and you've only had 4 or 5 fights since 2020, I think he's there for the taking. He was never a world level guy. Not a world, neither, and I said this, neither guy is going to be a world champion. El Chino's not going to be a world champion. Who knows? Austin Deanda, the last thing I ever want to do is short a 22-year-old and say that about him. Who knows? That kid, he's always in shape. He's getting better with each fight. I think he's going to be, I think he's live. Dude, all of that at plus 550. Huh. So that's my reasoning. And it's a plus 550 for a reason. He's a big dog for a reason. He's fought on Top Rank coming off that light, he had to come back from the dead. I'm going to quote Tom, I'm going to quote Paulie. He has balls. So we know that he could come from behind, and he got a talking to, a shellacking in the corner in a fight that he was down, and he won all the late rounds. I mean, I think if there is a dog at plus 550 to gamble on, I think it's Austin Deanda. Steal of the week is Madrimov, decision plus 400. Let's check it out, big homie. This shit is fun. I love this shit. If we had such, if I had the endurance to stream longer, I would stream way longer. I do hour streams, but like sometimes I'm like, why don't I just stream for 5 hours? This shit is fun. Bring some of you guys on. Like Julius came on 2 days ago. If you guys are in the Discord, you guys can come on, by the way. We have a call-in feature on the channel. If anyone wants to come on, I'll send the link in the chat. Okay, so David Salazar was a Dominican Olympian. It's funny. That's probably why I said that. That was in my head doing my studies this week. Wow. Oh. Well, that just goes to show you Salazar's food. They know what time it really is. The politics of boxing. Madrimov is supposed to get busy. I mean, come on, guys. People, dude, with under 11 pro fights, Israel Madrimov in back-to-back fights went the distance with Terrence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz. With under 11 pro fights, you got to give that kid his goddamn flowers. Israel Madrimov is a very, very tough out. So, that being said, the odds makers are agreeing with my point, thinking that Madrimov should just steamroll this guy, which I think he will. Look, I wouldn't call this a steal, but for the same reason, like I would feel more upset. Bro, if this hits, I'm gonna do a whole live stream dedicated to why Julius is a genius. I would be like, I feel more comfortable with Deonda winning than this, only because of Madramov's explosivity and his power and his awkwardness. He's fighting a guy, when we're talking about, levels, a Dominican guy in Salazar that really isn't much to him. If that hits, I mean, I'm not playing it. I'm not even playing the Madrimov fight based off those odds, but you might be onto something. I mean, people said the same thing about me and you when we hit on Carrington by decision at plus 500. So I do like your style. I do like that way of thought, looking for decisions, and not everything ends by knockout. And then there is an argument to be had because, is Madrimov going to be is he going to be gun shy? Which I don't. But will he want to get rounds in? Will he just want to kind of showcase and get back to the groove of things? So it could happen. He could hurt him early and then just cruise. You got to really do your tape and really discover the psychology of a fighter like Israel Madrimov. Eastern European guy. I think he's a killer, dude. He's very determined in there. So what is Salazar going to have to do to survive to go to a points decision? Will the fight go the distance? Plus 350. Yeah, you might as well take, and I'm sure you did your deductive reasoning. There's no way that you didn't look at that. So, yeah, that knockout prop isn't. If I were to play it, I'd play Mads on knockout. It's just not. Those odds suck to play a prop for me. But obviously, on the other hand, plus 430 is great odds. So good luck on that. I'm not playing that. I hope you win, 100%. I hope to God you win. I hope I see that ticket in our Discord. I hope you say, Johnny, you should have tailed me, and you're a beast. Shout out to Julius with the read. Dana White is the worst face for Zoof. We all have our opinions. Pacino. Julius Bama Bride did some more film study on Muratalla. I think I see what you see. Upseller. Yeah, Pacino. Julius is a beast. Julius is a beast. Pacino. And this is another shout out to our chat, is that we could. I'm sure on YouTube there's channels where people would hesitate to comment a disagreement because you got to worry about if you don't know shit. Like we're not that channel. We could come to we don't have to agree. And Julius made a great point 2 days ago when he was on the live, and then I defended my position with Andy. And I do like this pick. You're taking an undefeated world champion at plus what is he now? Plus 200 in 2026. What did I say? Value. My goal on this is to find value every single live stream, every single fight card. What value is there giving you a minus 2,000? You know what I mean? It might be good for it's not even good for our ego. So when we're talking value play, an undefeated world champion going up against a guy who's never, under 10 pro fights. Yeah, look at this. Plus 210. It's a value play. It's a value play, and there's a path to victory. There's a lot of components to Raymond being able to beat Andy. It's not like, we have to find out, and this is what we do when we find out who we're betting on, is you do deductive reasoning on both sides. Never bet $1 on a fighter because you dislike a fighter or somebody told you to take this guy. Do your goddamn homework. Whether you're betting $1 or 1,000, what I would do is, if you're putting 1,000 on a fighter, bet, and you know what fighter you're betting on, research the guy that you think is going to lose equally as aggressive as the other guy. Research that guy that you think is going to lose as if you're picking him to win. Because this is what I do. You need to find flaws in both guys. You need to find in my notes, I do a pros and cons list of both fighters, right? I'll do pros and cons. And if you ever, and this is why, if you guys ever watch my Stats Don't Lie videos, I don't read off a script. You'll never see me doing my predictions going like, all right, strengths, cons, style, and then no. I already know. I've researched it by the time you see my Stats Don't Lie video, boy, I know everything about these fighters, and I know my narrative, and I know what I'm sold on. So back to Muratalla. My issue with him, and if you heard me, and you could call it what Julius and I did was a friendly debate. Julius took Muratalla, and Julius proved good points, and this is why Pacino, I agree with you. He proved good points. I think Andy is on upset alert, only because of the odds. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I struggle with Moratalla's defense. That's it. I think it's going to be his undoing. I think that his offense is way better than I gave him credit for. I kind of did my Stats Don't Lie video a disservice by not mentioning this point. And Moratalla's offense is way more dynamic than I thought. And I'm not perfect in these breakdowns. I'll do hours and hours and then I film them, but I don't just throw the fight away. I'll continue to research because I do lives every day with you guys. So it's impossible to bring up everything. So Muratalla has a very dynamic offense, meaning that, what does that mean? He has multiple entrances, and I'm going to use a very limited entrance example so you guys know what I mean. Charles Conwell. Just watch Conwell. He has one entrance. He tells the whole world what he wants to do, entering the pocket, both shoulders, and he wants to land his backhand. Very basic setups, right? Muratalla, this guy, he's foot feinting. He's jabbing. He'll parry with you. He'll go high guard, not quite winky right high guard, but he'll stay there. He'll switch stances. He'll throw a lead hook off of the southpaw from the pocket, not even throwing a jab because he's a natural orthodox fighter. So his strong side is his backhand. When he switches to southpaw, he'll use that lead hand as a power shot. So all that I love. And he'll punch with you. And what I don't like, and he has power, 23-0, 17 knockouts. And his power is sort of like a mix of, not many guys have Deontay Wilder one-punch knockout power. With the padding in the gloves and the durability of fighters and something that doesn't get spoken about enough. Usually the only punch that'll knock a guy out is a punch they didn't see. My coach always used to tell me that. I tell that to my clients. I was watching, I forget who it was. It was another fight. He was another OG coach, and he actually said that. I was like, it was one of the first times that I heard a guy actually say it verbatim. So it's not like you stand there, you see the punch coming, the dude's a big punch, you get knocked out. It's when a guy hid or set it up or got your timing and range down or out-angled you when you don't see the punch coming, right? Muratalla, there's certain the offensive dynamics that he brings to the table. Sometimes he leaves himself open when he's going through his bag to be countered. That's something Andy does really well. And I did a slow motion breakdown of this on my live stream on Monday. He loves from the orthodox position his backhand. When he throws it, I love it. He commits to it. But when he commits to it, he rather than committing to it here. So I wish I had more thing to stand. Let me show you something. So okay, this is my front knee, right? When we're throwing that punch, a good coach will always tell you, no matter what punch you're going to throw, you commit to, never have your torso over that lead knee, right? You never want to be committed so much that you're out on your front foot because you're going to get countered. You always want to be in such a position and have your balance in such a position. When you land, your torso is still vertical over that lead hip. You know what I'm saying? So Muratalla, what he does with that backhand to make up for this out of position approach, he'll put his head here. Watch it. I brought it up on slow motion. What normally you would throw it and just keep your lead hand here, and you're still in a position to counter or move. He loves that backhand. He's here. Boy, you catch Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz catches him with an angle, boy. That's just what I'm seeing. So maybe we're getting too much into the minutia of the technique, but this it's just what I look for. Are you gonna have a bro Mosby? I was supposed to, but I didn't have time. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, so I run a gym out of my house, and I've been busy since 5 a.m. with clients. You know, I was supposed to do this live stream at 5 a.m. my time, but I had a 6 a.m. client at my house. I had a 6 a.m., a 7 a.m., an 8 a.m., and 9 a.m. So I just went back to back to back to back with clients downstairs, and then I did this live at 10 a.m. We're about an hour in, and now I have to spar at 2 p.m. I just don't think I'm going to get to it. And I called Nick. We were supposed to do one. I can answer you. I am gonna post my UFC picks though. I apologize though, man. I thought I was gonna have time. Magimov has went the distance with Journeyman before. Yeah, pre Terrence Crawford, pre Virgil. You gotta, there is something to be said about the knowledge we take with us through the experience taught from a better opponent. Think about those lessons Bud taught him. The Virgil fight was a little bit different. The Bud fight, a lot of lessons with like range. The thing that Israel is a little bit sort of like on is, he crashes into range a lot, and then his economy of energy, he'd be what you would say the opposite of efficiency with his energy expenditure, and sometimes and his tells. Oh God, you could literally Israel Majimov with that, he tells the whole world what he's about to do. And that's kind of like a downfall if you bring that sort of karate style into the ring. You can pick up on that. 2 hops, boom. 3 hops, feint. 2 hops, a counter boy. And Virgil didn't play any of those games. Virgil watched tape, saw that against Bud, and just stayed in that wheelhouse. Just controlled him at his range. And that's boxing. That's a beautiful part about boxing. Self-made in this hoe. More ties lock. Dude, look, this is what, boys, not an echo chamber. Julius is a big timer, boy. He knows what he's talking about. Pacino co-signed with him. A lot, dude. Muratalla is alive, boy. Muratalla is live. He's a world champion for a reason. So I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's disrespectful. I thought Muratalla should be the favorite. Dude, Andy has 6 pro fights. Go to 2 days ago to the live stream I did with Julius. We talked about this pattern, guys, over the last 12 months. And we're going to be talking about this over and over because it's becoming more than a pattern. This is now what we're seeing. Either amateur pedigree, former Olympian, or just fast track prospects with under 10 pro fights fighting against either world champions, former world champions, or 25 plus fight pros who are, and then the guy with under 10 pro fights going in as the favorite and getting dog walked. Just in the last 12 months, we've seen this. We need to write a list. I need to pin that list on my chat every single day. Frankie Rodriguez, Galal Yafai, Albert Badr Jazza Dickens, Sofia Umaha versus Fonseca. That's 3 right there. We had David Morrell against Benavidez. That's 4 right there. I think that was a 50-50 fight, though. The first 3, the veterans were the dogs by like plus 300. That's just 4 right off the top. And there's more. Yenis Tellez just happened 2 months ago. And I'm not going to be a guy they got fraud checked. No, there's no such thing as fraud. That's such a casual, dude, call Yenis Tellez a fraud to his face. See what time it really is. That's my life logic. You got to live your life by life logic. You're a troll talking, even though you don't have online logic, you got to ask yourself, would I say this to this dude's face? No, you'd respect this guy. He would respect you. The nicest guys you will ever meet in the world are fighters, for the most part. Pat McCormick, Kona Walker. As self-made, originally I was all over Andy on decision, but I looked at the film. I see Muay You see Muay outboxing him from the outside, and it might sound insane given Cruz's pedigree. Okay, so okay, we have to. How do we handle this? So if he's going to outbox Andy, he's going to have to control range. He's also going to have to handle Andy's speed. Speed and power are two of boxing's greatest neutralizers. Wow. See, if anything, I was going to say Muratalla is going to have to swarm him. Seeing Muratalla outbox Andy from the outside, I don't know if he's going to have the feet to do that. I don't know if he's going to have the feet to do that. I don't know if he's going to have the speed to do that. I think Moratalla's path to victory would actually be in range, getting past Andy's jab and fighting him how he wants to fight him. On the front foot, making him uncomfortable, forcing Andy to punch with him, and then finding an opening. I do not think that Muratalla wins a pretty fight. I think Muratalla is going to have to make it a dogfight and bring Andy to those veteran waters, those 11th and 12th rounds that he's never been before. I think that's how Muratalla wins. But where we do agree on is we both do see a path to victory for Ray. MMA boxing eyes, my guy. Salute. Excited for the fights. Yes, UFC 324, big fights. I have a UFC ticket. If I don't get into it today, I will share it I will share it for the Patreon boys, and I will share it for the JSP insiders. I do have a UFC ticket, and I'm getting back to doing UFC tickets every week. Bro, and those were both draws. Was that a back-to-back draw, or did Cam lose the second one? Damn, he looked Cam Vong, dude. Is his cardio, his endurance. It just makes no sense to me that he wasn't able to navigate that style that he had just seen. He wasn't able to make adjustments. He wasn't able to use the ring. No, that was the Gavin Gwynn was a majority draw. He won the first one in a controversial decision and then the draw, but you could easily say Gavin beat him both times. What's up, King? Muay doesn't do anything great. There isn't one thing that, yeah, but at the same time, that's why I like him. I mean, not to win. I like fighters who have a sort of, if anything, you know what I think he does do great is if you had to, I talked about it earlier, his offensive options that he creates for himself. He punches with both hands. He'll work the body. He'll swarm you. He loves his backhand, but he switches stances. From the southpaw position, he throws a lead hook. So his versatility might be his biggest strength. And in boxing, if you could take a guy like Muratalla, who's 29, who has a versatile offensive bag, who's undefeated, if you could force a young pro like Andy, young as in total fights, into a long fight, like maybe some low blows, maybe some headbutts, maybe, a point deduction here, make it ugly, clinching, force the ref to break it up, fighting in the pocket, sort of like this style of fight, that versatility. I think that if I was Moratalla's coach, I would be like, big brother, this dude, or at least try. Or at least try. That would be like make Andy uncomfortable. If you let Andy fight at his range, it's gonna Andy could pot shot you, and then he could just cruise his ass to a victory. That's the beauty of speed and timing in boxing. If Andy's up 4-1, 5-0, and Muratalla is frustrated and he's just putting himself in more precarious positions to get punched, I could see Cruz will have to make the decision. Do I want to risk getting hurt by pouring it on, or I'm already up big, I could just cruise to a decision. That's what I'm banking on. Andy on points, baby. $1.96. Let's go. Ray decision is live, but I got Andy. It is. Yeah. Look, we would be casuals here. I would be a freaking casual if I said Raymond Muratalla is not live. You know what I mean? Like if you were watching a dude, like I heard somebody on it. Look, I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't give a shit how you live your life. But if we're friends, if we ever became friends, if my friends know this, we all live our lives to a certain level. Like I expect things from my friends. You know, I don't hang out with losers. I don't hang out with drug addicts. I don't hang out with cheaters. I don't hang out with liars. I don't hang out with people who steal. I expect things from my circle of influence, right? You guys expect things from me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Raymond isn't live. He's live. And this is why I get frustrated sometimes with boxing content creators calling fighters ass cheeks, calling fighters scrubs, calling them retards, calling them gay. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? That's such a weird thing to like. A, it's not professional. Carry yourself like a professional. And B, would you say that to this fighter's face? The world needs more of that. Before you speak, logically, would I approach another human, another man, would I approach him like this? Or does he deserve a little bit more respect? And I think we could use a little bit more of that. But for me to say that Ray isn't live, he's 100% live. I think the odds are disrespectful. He's the champion. He's the veteran. What do you think about Sean? Look, O'Malley, in my opinion, is so I don't talk about this a lot, but my first degree in college was sports psychology. So I went to Cal State Fullerton to finish that degree a long, long time ago, and I had to do my field work, right? Observational study, observational work. So what I chose to do was work with the football team and work with athletes recovering from injuries. And what you do is you have a guy, a pitcher, a quarterback, a point guard, and they tear their ACL. And this is a guy who's a showcase player on the team. Whatever sport he's playing, he's relied upon to be great. You tear that ACL, you tear an Achilles, you tear a shoulder, there's a surgery, there's a long road to recovery, there's a psychological component where you start second guessing your skills. You start questioning what you're capable of. That it's then you seek out sports psychologists, which every major university has, every major pro sports team has, somebody to help guide you along those ways. Like, dude, your knee's good. Stand in the pocket. Get on your toes. Look at yourself throwing. The way you threw the ball in college is just how you're throwing here now. You just missed a little bit of time. Your offensive line is going to protect you. Trust your arm. You've trained like this since you were a kid. You had one, like that sort of thing, right? When you're aware of this sort of thing, you're able to take this and look at the whole story of a guy's career. I say all that about Sean O'Malley because O'Malley was a guy who was propped up, marketed. He marketed himself. I remember watching him on a podcast before he had braids and dyed colored hair. I remember when his coach still fought at Bellator. I remember watching him. I blame the whole thing on Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber were the first guys. They were doing the Dana White Contender Series. And that whole aura, Sean had that knockout, and the rest is history. And this was along the same times of like Conor McGregor, but then you needed to have a shtick, and everybody was trying to find their shtick. Colby Covington was finding his shtick, that sort of thing, right? And Sean O'Malley found his. He was doing live streams, smoking dope, talking about dudes fucking his wife, all this stuff, right? And he was winning. And he was like, talking about his goals and aspirations. And then he was winning, and he became a champ, and then he wasn't winning. And then he kind of went silent. And, the whole marketing machine around him kind of changed. And him trolling Yadong, I think it's just all part of that. I think Song Yadong is live. That's all I'm going to say there. Uriah Faber is going to have Song Yadong ready as fuck for this fight. That's a guy that, when I think about the best fighters to never win a UFC championship, Uriah Faber. Dude, without Uriah in the UFC, there's no weight classes under 145 pounds. If you want to know who Uriah Faber is, watch the WEC days. Those fights he had with Josie Aldo in the WEC, Dominic Cruz. Dude, Uriah, the California kid, dude. Uriah Faber, the only reason there's 145 pound, 135, 125 is because of Faber. It was a shame he never won a world title in the UFC. But those guys at Alpha Male, they do one thing really well. They do a couple things really well. The psychology of the fighter is one of them. Did Floyd Diaz do jail time for that car arrest in Vegas? He hasn't fought. I'm not sure. I like Floyd to win pretty big, though. I don't know if he's going to knock out Song Yadong, but I could definitely see him outboxing someone from the outside. So I'm going to have to use that volume pressure and counters to catch Sugar. Yeah. Muratalla can't cut the ring off. He's going to be chasing ghosts, and he's going to be popping, locking like the yeah. 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 Did you see Espinosa's? Oh, I think Rafa. Look, I'm still a fan of Angela Leo. We followed Leo's career on Pro Box. You guys, if you're watch my channel, we featured Angela's last few fights, bro. All you gotta do is watch that first Robesi Ramirez fight with Rafa. From that first fight, which he was down, and how he came back from the dead to win. From that moment on, up until right now, us speaking about him, Rafa Espinosa is that dude, boy. 120, dude. The shellacking he put on Edward Vasquez, dude. I don't think Angela Leo looked that great in his last fight. There's no way I'm betting against Rafa Espinosa in this fight. I think Rafa stops him. He's one of my favorite fighters. How he fights, the aggression, his urgency, and then how he is outside of the ring. Super. Always quoting the Bible, whatever religion you're into. He's a spiritual man. He's a man of faith. His family, he visits his opponents in the hospital after. Like, there's a lot to like about Rafa. One of my favorite fighters right now. I'd love to, and shout out to Leo. I just think Leo is going to have a lot of trouble dealing with that size, which everybody does at 126. You like the over 2.5, Patty? I'll think about that in 24 hours. I got Patty on the money line. Look, King, man, it's not my game. Getting sexy with the over and unders on UFC fights, it's not really my game. I like Patty on the money line though. I'm a big I was covering Patty the Batty when he had a shaved head and he was 18 fighting at Cage Warriors after a loss. So I told people about Patty. Before YouTube demonetized me the first time, all my videos were MMA. Like interviews with regional guys. I would cover the LFA. I'd cover Cage Warriors. Patty the Batty is, people hate on him. The people who hate on Patty, they don't know his whole story. They don't know the come up from Liverpool. They don't know his amateur days. They don't know that this kid grew up in the gym. Dude, Patty, he'll be a champion. I'm a fan, dude. He'll punch with you until he doesn't have to. He's a big dude. He's strong. His wrestling and grappling. I think Justin's seen his better days, man. Justin was kind of like a product of, it was almost like there was a hole in the matrix when Justin came over from PFL. I think he was 17-0 when he fought Michael Johnson from the PFL with like a lot of, maybe 15 or 16 knockouts. I'd have to look. But he was like a wrestler, Arizona wrestler, but he never wrestled. He always struck. And his striking was super basic, and he would throw this lower leg kick with no dexterity, but it would just do damage. And everybody knew what he wanted to do. Everybody knows what he wants to do. He wants to be in a dogfight. But this was like when he fought Michael Johnson, 2017? Maybe later, 2018? He fights like a guy who fought in the UFC in 2008. He fights like, back in 2008, you had specialists. You had guys who didn't know how to grapple, didn't know submissions, couldn't get off their back, and they were like a one-punch guy, or all they knew how was wrestle. All they knew how was grapple. They couldn't stand and strike. And now, as the sport evolved, you have young kids who are training in mixed martial arts, not just boxing, not just wrestling, etc. Gaethje has made a career off of himself, even though, like I said, he is a state Division I wrestler. It's like he kind of poked through with that old, he's a throwback. I think Patty does what he wants with him. I don't know if anyone can beat Sean O'Malley with the striking. I think it's a hard fight for Sean. I think Sean has a lot of, his striking's pretty when he's cooking, but his resets, he's long. Song's going to have his timing down. I can see Song, what Song's going to have to do is try to act like he's going to stand with him, slip something or feint, and then catch Sean on a kick or catch Sean on a slip, and then get both hips. It's a lot easier said than done. Favorite ones broke both hands. Dude, the Mike Brown's fight were amazing. The Mike Brown fight, dude, that's when I was a fanboy, because I'm like 22 at the time, 23. This is when my Faber would lose and it would ruin my day. You're a fanboy as if your fighter loses, and your whole day's ruined. Like my dad, I grew up in Northeast Ohio in Cleveland. When the Cleveland Browns would lose and they lost a lot, well, in the 80s they were good. In the 90s, before they sold the team to Baltimore, they were decent. When we had Bernie Kosar and Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner and Eric Metcalf, Biner got traded, Webster Slaughter, Hanford Dixon, those days. When the Browns would lose, my dad wouldn't talk to us for 2 days. He had a family of six. He had his wife and 4 kids. We knew that fool wasn't talking to us. Don't go up to his room. Don't ask that fool to play catch. The Browns lose. That dude ain't talking to us. If you get like that about fighting, you're a casual. That's it. I used to get like that when Uriah would lose. I was a casual. I was 21 years old. When Uriah Faber would lose, boy, that shit will affect my whole day. But who was the kid? Who was the? Oh, did you ever see who's Uncle Ian McCall? People, that's another guy people forget. Boy, Ian McCall was a motherfucker, dude. Uncle Creepy was good everywhere. Had that little mustache here, boy. Huntington Beach. You'd hear stories of McCall going out because I was living in Long Beach at the time, right on the border of Orange County. Ian McCall would go out and clear a whole bar out in a street fight. 5'6", 5'7", $140. Fucking dog, dude. Ian McCall was the man. WEC was off the meat rack, dude. Patty that shit knows how it is. You gotta be like, shh. So a drill that I'll show you a drill that you should do. So if you guys are boxers and you have trouble keeping your chin up, this is a bit big because it's a massage ball, but a tennis ball, a baseball. Dude, my dad would have me doing that shit for hours when I was a boy. Keep your big ass chin down, Johnny. Johnny, keep your chin down. Scousers, we don't get knocked out. Yeah, Uncle Creepy was the man. Boys, give me a virtual hug. See you next time.